I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I surrender to the one. I surrender to the knowledge of the one that's active in me. I surrender to the knowledge of the action of the one that's active in all of us. I surrender to the knowledge that it, the one, is here now, and that this celebration is an idea in the mind of the one. So it must be magnificent. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. One more. I surrender. I trust and I know that as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. Yeah.
It's already done, yes.
Oh, it's the welcome person.
Oh, yeah.
Do I stand here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, stand right there. Your marshal on the...
My name is Jeff Starbuck, and I'm a licensed practitioner here. And welcome everyone to this amazing opportunity. And I was going to read some of the words of Ernest Holmes, but the book is at home in the stand. It isn't here, but I do remember some of them. And it was that we are a spiritual, each one of us is a spiritual broadcasting system. And that our job, in a way, we could say, is to get that in order, is to clarify our spiritual broadcasting system so that it can do that. And I'm looking at these words of I trust and surrender, and I fall into the arms of love. As we trust and surrender, we have the opportunity to recognize that the love, the all, the magnificent, the higher self, the highest self, is there, has got our back, and it always has our back, even when we don't believe it. And let's read this reading that you have in your bulletin. I'm not used to this middle thing in front of me. I'm just sharing my inner process about this. Anyway, never mind. So we're going to read this now. It begins, I am pure intelligence. We're going to read this together. I am pure intelligence. There is one cause, one mind, one source. I am because this cause created me out of itself in order to express itself as me. This cause, being pure mind, created me as pure mind in action. God knows me as an intelligent vehicle of great ideas. Therefore, I now know myself as the mind of God in expression. I am an alert, vital individualization of the infinite mind. I am intelligence, wisdom, and knowledge. Every idea I need is already within my consciousness. These ideas are now activated in my thought, and I am fully aware of them. Henceforth and forevermore, I shall make right decisions. I know this is the truth. I release it to the law, and so it is. Yes, so today we have Reverend Frankie delivering a fantastic message on visioning. And visioning is she's going to talk about that. It is what it is, and it's really wonderful, and it's all about bringing into being the right thing, the right action. And I have an announcement next, maybe more than one, but so far one that I'm aware of. Next week, in the service here next week, Reverend Karen Kushner will give a talk, and that is the title, or the topic is A Challenge, Speak No Evil. A challenge to speak no evil. That's what she's going to talk about. And she's going to speak no evil. And yeah, so I think that's it. But remember, welcome to this service, which is happening right now. It's happening moment by moment. And welcome to the rest of what happens. The rest of today. We're always in the moment of creation. We're always welcoming the next moment. We're always welcoming the creation of goodness to manifest through us, even after this service and tonight and all the time. That's happening. So just remember that. And yes.
So it is. Thanks, Jeff. Susan, do you want to make an announcement about anything?
Oh, well, my class starts Monday. Oh. I was trying to avoid the camera. I just came from the gym. Good morning. Yes, I will be teaching a class, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, sponsored by Morristown, but open to anybody, Morristown CSL. And it's a class, the way I teach, it's a lot of doing and being and a lot of less lecturing. We do and then we be. So we kind of dance between metaphysical and mystical. And so there's still opening. And the information for that would be on the dance. Doobie-doobie-doo. The information is on the CSL Morristown's Facebook page and website. Oh, and there's flyers in the back, but not for you guys out in virtual land. So that's my announcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Doobie-doobie-doo. A pretty easy tune. Heard it before. I am the love of God. 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 I am the You are the love of God. 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 You are love. You are love. You are the love of God. You are love. You are love. You are the love of God. Guess what the next one is? We are the love of God. 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 We are love. We are love. We are the love of God. We are love. We are love. We are the love of God. Lovers.
Good morning. I don't know about you, but my heart's already full, and the service has just started. So as I was preparing for my duties as POD, I was thinking about my New Year's resolution. We are in February, so I was wondering, what do I really need to remember from a spiritual perspective to move on? What's the principle that I want to use as my anchor as I move forward during the year? And it occurred to me that I often forget probably the most basic principle in this teaching, and it's that God is good. That's simple.
Yeah.
We know it, we say it, but when we're confronted with turmoil, with challenges, I tend to forget it. And I tend to forget that good is also wisdom. And that good is also oneness. And that simply there's nothing lacking in my universe that would interfere with my moving forward. So I had some reading that I really wanted to share with you, but as I was meditating this morning, of course God had other plans. That always happens, right? So it so happens I've often shared that this is my daily book, 365 Days of Richer Living. And it was today's meditation that I was called to share with you. And it says, I am victorious over all difficulties, for I have faith in God, the good, omnipotent. And it is prefaced by Psalm 1 verse 6 that reads, the Lord knoweth the way of righteousness, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Ooh. And it reads, the victorious attitude is one that recognizes the unlimited power of God, Without this awareness, no one can be victorious over the negatives of life. Those who live without spiritual vision and understanding are forever trying to solve their problems by manipulating their human minds and exerting their human wills. Does that sound familiar? This exhausts them, frustrates them, and gives them no peace. The recognition of God as cause and as the creative power of this world brings victory to the soul. It does this because all problems begin and end with the individual's own consciousness. As we realize that God's mind is in us as the basis of our individual consciousness, we begin to solve our problems at their point of origin, which is within ourselves. We find the inner security which comes from knowing that God's ideas are in us now, giving us correct instruction in the way we should go. So in that consciousness, I'm just going to invite you to just take a deep cleansing breath. I know that the power off to our good calls us to simply surrender, because as Reverend Richard reminded us, as we surrender and trust, we fall into the arms of love. That is the love that is the only reality. Each one here is made out of that love, out of that infinite substance, out of that goodness of the Creator who created each one here from the stuff it is made of. Love, goodness, wisdom, joy, peace, playfulness, creativity, abundance. That is the stuff that each one here is made of. And as we release any thoughts to the contrary, we can witness that our path is clear to move forward. The law of goodness, the love of God in action takes over whenever each one here is willing to trust that infinite power, that infinite presence to move us forward in ways of excellence, in ways of love, in ways of exuberance, in ways of joy. There's nothing outside of God, and there is nothing outside of our willingness to trust divine principle that is always in action, propelling us to our good. I know this word is in the law, I know this word is true, and I release it to the law of good, because I know it never fails. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, Damaris. I haven't done this song in a long time. This is one of our oldies but goodies in New Thought.
So we'll do the gestures.
You want to do the mudras? Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think that God was the Son, God is the Son, but God's so much more than the earth and the stars, all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light God is creator, makes all things new. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. All right, on that note, we are honored to have the Reverend Dr. Frankie Timmers up here giving us that message. And letting us go forth in the world knowing the truth of our being. All right.
Thank you. I don't like to hide anymore. It's a long time ago. I used to love to hide, but I don't like to hide. Is this good?
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. So, you're going through a big change, right? Big change. I'm sure you're all like excited and you're loving it and you're so happy and you're all on board and you know exactly what to do. You know exactly the right steps. You know exactly who to reach out to for support. You're like good to go because you're all students and or practitioners, licensed practitioners of this teaching. So you're good to go. I actually don't even need to do a talk because Jeff so beautifully reminded us that we're all spiritual broadcasting stations and we're all tuned into the right station, so there's no static ever. Right? And then, I keep forgetting your name. Dee. Oh, she shared what I always say, that when we distill this beautiful teaching, there's only one thing happening. Well, it's kind of two, but it's really just one. It's remember, forget, right? That's it. And so it's a really good thing that we are together today as lovers of this beautiful teaching, as students of this beautiful teaching, which makes you practitioners, and as licensed practitioners of this teaching and ministers, right, Rich? And so the beauty is that with this very long history, I think that CSL Princeton and CSL Morristown are both in the ballpark of 60 to 70 years, right? 6 to 7 decades. So we're no floozies. You know, we have a history. I don't know that word, but it came out of my mouth. So we're just like, standing on the shoulders of giants. We are on a solid foundation of truth and of legacy. And your beautiful, beautiful senior minister, Dr. Karen, who has just made a big change in her life, therefore in your life, has left you with a legacy of teaching that I know has changed all your lives. It has mine. Because Dr. Karen is one of these clear thinkers in our teaching, one of these absolute knowers, and that inspires me all the time. So the question is, my topic, now what? Right? Or what the hell? Now what? Now what? What do we do? What do we do now? And some of you know, and some of you kind of know, and some of you have faith, and some of you trust, and then there's everything in between. But the greatest gift that I have received from this teaching is that no matter what hits the fan, I'm ready. Because my foundation is solidly grounded in this teaching. So it's the same as you were sharing for all of us. No matter what happens, we have to arrive at that place that says, I know what to do because it's already in me. And so forget, remember, right? So this very, very big change creates an energy inside of us that says, I don't know, now what? I don't know. That's the beauty and the gift of uncertainty. I don't know about you, but I don't like uncertainty. I want to know exactly what's going to happen next. I want to know what my future is going to look like. I want to know all that. And the interesting thing to me is that I did not really think about that. I wasn't quite aware of that when I went through a cancer experience and when COVID hit. I think COVID woke us all up to say nothing is certain. Nothing is predictable. We cannot know the next moment or the future. And that's why a spiritual foundation is so incredibly important. So I recommend all of you take Susan's class. She's a great teacher, and we're thrilled at Center for Spiritual Living Morristown that she's teaching for us. Because I've been in this teaching for years, 40 years. I know I started as a baby. I was born into it. Not really. But I know that I always need to go back to the basics. And when I go to different teachers, or even the same teacher, it's different for me. I sometimes open the Science of Mind textbook and I go, they put that in there since I last read it. That was not there. That was never there. And then I have a good laugh. Because it's just when I saw it this time or read it this time, it was just a little bit different. And so the good thing is that the foundation that we have are our spiritual practices. Realizing that when we flip into, oh gosh, I have no idea what we're going to do, there's all this uncertainty, is that it's just our human nature. Dr. Ernest Holmes says our human tendency is towards the negative. Meaning our human tendency is to dwell in fear. And fear takes on different forms, right? Isn't it in Course in Miracles that they say there's two basic emotions, love and fear? In our teaching say, fear is just the absence of love. And so we distill it down to the simplicity of all that is, and we use our practices when we find ourselves fearful or worried or anxious or not knowing or not being certain to just pause and reach for those spiritual practices that most of us have learned. So there's 5 basic practices. Let's see if you all remember. I'm sure you do. What's the main spiritual practice we use in our teaching? Treatment. Spiritual mind treatment. Our word for affirmative prayer, right? What else? Meditation. What else?
Gratitude.
Huh?
Gratitude.
Well, it's definitely a practice, but not one of the 5.
Visioning.
Visioning. What else? Begins with an A.
Affirmations.
Affirmations. And what do we say? Spiritual mind treatment, visioning, meditation, affirmations, and visualizations. Those are our 5 main practices. What I want to bring to you today is the practice of visioning, which I think most of you are familiar with. If you're not, you're in for a treat because it's one of the very powerful practices. I love Proverbs 29, chapter 29, verse 18, where there is no vision, the people will perish. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. There is a part 2 that I had never really memorized or heard. And that part is, I made it neutral gender. But they that keep the law, blessed are they. But they that keep the law, blessed are they. And we work with the law all the time, don't we? So, how many of you are familiar with the practice of visioning? Yeah, about half of you. So we're going to explore that a little bit today in relationship to now what? for this particular community. I use visioning all the time. I use it for every talk I do. I use it for every class I do. I use it if I'm going to do a crafting project. I'm a crafter. I use it at the center when we need to make a decision with a group. We used it when we did some remodeling in our building. I use it all the time, and it's just so automatic that sometimes I just ask the first question, which I'll remind you of what that is. And it's a very powerful tool, and it's so similar to spiritual mind treatment because when we treat, we expect a demonstration, right? With visioning, it's kind of the same thing. When we are visioning, it's like planting seeds. The same as with spiritual mind treatment, and it's starting to already work. It's cooking. So we choose to say, I love this experience of not knowing, of being uncertain and being a little worried, because I know I get to plant the seeds. I get to set the tone. I get to be open and receptive to something brand new that supports me and brings me the greatest good. So I think all of you are also familiar with the 4 kingdoms of consciousness, right? So when we move through life, that first kingdom is when we first maybe are looking for a spiritual something. Is that all there is? We want more, right? But it's that place where we say everything is happening to me, where we feel like victims and we look to blame someone. And then the next one where we kind of wake up and we go, oh, wait, spirituality, there's a practice. Now I have a little bit more control. So now I can realize that it happens by means of me. And then the next kingdom is where we realize that we are instruments of the divine and it happens through us. And then the 4th kingdom is when we realize that we are the divine and it's happening as us. I brought extra copies of the 4 kingdoms to give to you later in case you want it. And when I start doing the visioning, I also have the questions. So the whole idea about when we move through a big change, it calls for us to rise up. At our center, we are using the theme that many centers are using that's created by CSL called a grand rising. And I love that because the whole idea is, okay, we got through COVID, we got through the pandemic, now let's just kind of get moving again and rise up and bring the highest and best because the world needs that and the world needs us to, those of us who are spiritually aware and awake, to bring that to life, to add our drop of truth into the world. And so we have to remember that the default tends to be the opposite. Our default is the opposite of that grand rising. And so because you are all students and because you all have a longing to experience your divine nature, that's your go-to, right? The go-to is, wait, there's a higher vision. There's a greater circle for me to draw around my experience. There's something bigger for me to see, to live, to know, to accept, to welcome. And that's where visioning comes in, because we're not always conscious. Sometimes I have a bad day, and I realize at the end of the day that I wasn't at all aware of how grumpy I was, or how much I was judging people, or how worried I was. So the idea is just to be kind and gentle with ourselves, to notice and to go, oh, I forgot. Let me remember, by calling a practitioner, taking a class, doing a treatment, listening to a song, dance, move, jump up and down, whatever it takes for you to kind of shake off that default and that habit. So you all are Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. You are Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. You decide, now what? You decide what's next. Knowing there is a lot of support, knowing that collectively you are a force for good, and knowing that it's not up to any individual. So the whole idea with visioning is to get our ego mind out of the way. Even our historic mind, our history. So we're going to practice visioning. Susan has cards and pens for anybody that needs pen and paper. And those of you that are at home, I invite you to pull out a pen and paper, pencil and paper, pull out your journal. The idea is that you don't have to write everything down. I have the questions, which I will give to you later, so you don't need to write the questions down. I just want you to write down what you're hearing inside of you. Because visioning is about being divinely guided. We had a member many years ago at the center when we did visioning. After the visioning, people would share what came, and he would just tell us what he wanted to see happen. It was all ego-driven, human mind-driven, right? So you're really listening for something different. And it can come in the weirdest way. Maybe you see a jar of pickles. Maybe you see a curtain opening. Maybe you see colors. Maybe you see a word. It can be the craziest thing. I've heard some crazy things that ended up making so much sense. So do not censor. Don't edit. Don't sit there and go, when the jar of pickles comes to you, and go, that's stupid, I'm going to throw that one away, because we never know. And so we want to just listen what comes, and if nothing comes, nothing comes. Because remember, the seeds are planted, and you might wake up in the middle of the night with something really powerful and brilliant. Be sure to share that with each other. So most of you know by now that the visioning process comes out of the teaching of the science of mind, was developed by Michael Beckwith, and has been used for a very long time. And so the whole practice is about allowing, surrendering, a deeper listening, welcoming whatever comes. And it's like a treatment, right? And so don't worry about not remembering something. But if something comes, I invite you to write it down. So would you play that a little bit in the background? It's really light and quiet and simple. So again, those of you at home, whether it's today or any tomorrow, just pull out your notebook, and we're going to do some sharing after this with each other, which at home, if you're by yourself, you won't be able to do. But those are the moments that I invite you to just keep listening, to just get quiet and keep listening, to journal. Stay quiet, keep listening, because it's going to be a little bit different. So I invite you now to close your eyes, to uncross your legs and have both feet on the floor. Your hands are already in your lap because you have a pen in your hands and a piece of paper. And just take a deep breath. A nice, slow, deep, cleansing breath. Thinking of a time when you were so thrilled to be part of this community. Whether it's the first time you came, or when you did a class, or finished a class, or became a graduate of a class, or a practitioner, or had a session with Dr. Karen or any of the licensed practitioners here. Just allow a time to come to mind when you were so deeply moved and grateful to be part of this community. And let yourself just feel that in your heart. And then multiply that feeling by 10. And multiply it again by 10. And just feel it expand until you're able to step into that feeling instead of having that feeling be inside of you. here we arrive at the first question. Remember, you don't need to remember the question. You don't have to force the answer. Just allow to come what comes without censoring it in whatever form it comes. And if you feel moved to write down the answers, you can. But you don't have to. So the first question is, what is God's idea for the next chapter of Center for Spiritual Living Princeton? So not my idea, God's idea. What is God's idea for what is next for Center for Spiritual Living Princeton? Going a little bit deeper now, we ask the next question, knowing that sometimes we need more time for each question, but we can always go back and do this again later or tomorrow. The next question is, in order for this, God's idea for what's next for Center for Spiritual Living Princeton, to demonstrate what is my part in it. What is mine to do, mine to give? What is my unique contribution in this? And now going a little bit deeper again, we ask the next question. In order for God's vision and my gift to demonstrate, what must I become? How must I grow in consciousness? And as we go even deeper now, we ask, what must I release? What's in the way in me? What must I let go of? And now we ask one last question. Is there anything else that Spirit wants me to know there anything else that Spirit wants me to know right now? And so remember, if you feel like you need more time, this is something you can go back to anytime you want. So now slowly, slowly bring your attention back and open your eyes. I'm going to give you very specific instructions now, partly because this is a live stream and a Sunday morning celebration, not so much a workshop. Thank you, Rich, that was nice. So the specific instructions, I'm going to have you turn to someone and have a very focused sharing. Just what came up for you. Whatever came to you in the visioning that you're willing to share, nothing else. No conversation, no life story, no favorite restaurant in town, or what you're going to do after this. Just very briefly, one person shares what came, the other person listens. No comment, no feedback. Right? I know that can be a little hard sometimes. It can be for me, because I love to connect and talk. So just turn to somebody and just share with them what came. The other person listens soulfully, and then switch. And I'm going to just do, we're going to just do it quickly, briefly, and then you can share more later with each other if you like, okay? So turn to somebody and just share what came to you. And those of you who are at home, either just close your eyes, you might want to turn the volume off or down, there's some chatter in the background. And then what you want to do is journal or just go back and look at
How's like his expansion over expansion God applying this shareable language such as
I have a song for you. I think the rising.
and I must become a
Spring's I'm only going to do the good part. I'm not going to do
that's
that.
the classes
Share.
and to release my limiting beliefs and not be worthy and they are worthy and that will save God's greatest good for us now and so
if you haven't switched yet. Switch if you haven't switched yet with your partner. All right, can I ask you to wrap it up and come back? If you don't feel complete, please take a moment with your partner to finish up later.
I like the idea.
Okay?
That's what I was talking about. Sharing by
Barrio and the week at home, so I didn't bring them out. So no Barrio. Released a lot of energy in the room. It doesn't want to stop.
So my guess is that some of it is like, what? Or hell no. Right? Sometimes stuff comes and you go, resistance, right? The whole idea is don't try to figure it out. Don't try to make it sense. You don't have to walk out this door and fulfill what came to you. You've planted a seed because Spirit guided you. That was not your ego voice, although it may have been for some. That was Spirit's voice in you. You know, when Spirit said you're going to New Jersey and you're going to be the spiritual director of Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown, I said, what? New Jersey? No! 31 years later, you know, so sometimes we don't get to decide. Sometimes Spirit decides, and we don't like it. But that's where we grow. That's where we learn. That's where we expand. That's where we step out of this tiny little circle we call me, my personality, my name, right? Because there's something so much bigger happening within us and around us. And that's not just true for us as individuals. That's true for organizations. That's true for Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. It's true for Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. So in closing, I want to invite you to really trust this process, to do it often as you go through this big change. And if you need my guidance, I'm here for that because I'm all over visioning. And we can do it on Zoom, we can do it in person. I would be honored to share that with you. Because the whole idea is, which we already know, if we want to demonstrate something, how long do we treat? How often do we treat?
Until it demonstrates.
Until it demonstrates. Same with visioning. We vision until it demonstrates. Because what happens tomorrow, you might vision to one little aspect of what came to you that made your heart sing or want to vomit. Either way, it works. Right? And so, hold the vision. Hold the highest vision for Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. And don't think that somebody else is going to be doing this. You know what I mean by that, right? You're here. You're it. You get to bring your talents and gifts, which are unique for each of you. And you get to be a part of that. So it's that yes. It's that yes, Spirit, I'm willing. Yes, Spirit, I'm a part of this. Yes, Spirit, I'm willing to share my talents and gifts. I don't care what it is. It might be setting up chairs on a Sunday morning. I don't know, right? So what I want to offer to you is that if anybody wants to do a quickie treatment afterwards, it's not a practitioner session, but like a quickie treatment, I really know how to keep you on point. So come to me and I'll be kind of in this corner and happy to treat with you. The last thing that I want to read to you is a little quote by a big old friend of New Thought, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And you know, just an aside, I just recently learned something that blew me away, which is that Emerson was deeply, profoundly, powerfully influenced by his aunt, Mary Moody Emerson. She wrote lots of essays. I don't know why we haven't heard of her, but I'm reading a book about all the stuff she's written, and it's mind-blowing. It's amazing. But he gives credit to her for his inspiration and his transcendentalism, his life. So this is a lovely quote by Emerson, and it goes like this. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, and to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Let me repeat that. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. That is true for each of us individually, but it's also true collectively because it's the universal law that has brought us together, has brought you together as a community. And so it's true individually, but it's also true collectively. So have fun with this. This is an exciting time. And you get to be the new Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. And 10, 15, 20 years from now, there's going to be a whole different group sitting here thanking you because you made it come alive in a new way by means of principle and the principles of our teaching. And I'm excited because I expect to be around 10 more years. I mean alive, not around at the center, but alive, because this is my last year at the center in Morristown. But to be and looking forward to hearing that great news. So it is.
We don't move the camera, we move everything else. Can't see nothing in front of me. Can't see nothing coming up behind. Make my way through the darkness. Can't feel nothing but this chain that binds me. Lost track of how far I've gone. Far I've gone, how high I've climbed. On my back's a 60-pound stone. On my shoulder half a mile of line. Come on up for the rising. Come on up, put your hands in mine. Come on up for the rising. Come on up for the rising today. I said la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Come on up for the rising. Come on up, lay your hands in mine. Come on up for the rising. Come on up for the rising today.
That was great.
Well, and now is that time when we express our gratitude. If I may share, I got these messages, and so I'll read them since I'm here.
Yeah.
There's no room for fear. I also read or heard CSL Princeton is supported unconditionally. I'm here to pleasantly surprise you. So I share that because the universe functions by giving and receiving. So I think this is our time to walk the talk and to know that we are part of the community, that we have all been blessed by this community, and we want to continue doing so. Because in the future, someone will be grateful for the work we're doing now. So I'm going to read these statements, and I invite you to just take them into your heart and see what they say to you. Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Unless the seed is sown, it cannot bear fruit. There must be a planting time for every harvest. Those who give all, receive all. Let me repeat that. Those who give all, receive all. Those who refuse to give, limit the possibility of the greater good returning to them. Love, and you will be loved. Extend joy, and you will become more joyful. I make a commitment to keep wealth circulating in my life by giving and receiving life's most precious gifts. The gifts of caring, affection, appreciation, and love. Each time I meet someone, I will silently wish them happiness, joy, and laughter. And I will circulate this great. And I also want to remind you that we're a vibrant community of practitioners, so use us. We are here to support you, and believe it or not, to support ourselves, because every time someone brings a request to us, it's an opportunity for us to affirm the truth and to grow in that truth. It is often said that we are confronted by what we need to learn. And we're not done, even if we're practitioners. We're growing every single day. So please send us a note. And, we're powerful practitioners. I affirm that. And we will gladly do a treatment for you. And if you want a larger session, we can talk about that. But that treatment is free. It's one of the contributions that we're proud to give our community. So use us.
Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for abundance, grateful for abundance, grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for abundance, grateful for abundance, grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the message. Grateful for the message. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the vision. Grateful for the vision. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, grateful, yes, I'm grateful.
What am I doing with this?
Prosperity / closing. Not too much slashing.
So what I want to do is I want to weave together prosperity and the visioning that just happened. Now, you learned spiritual mind treatment a little bit differently than I did. We do it a little bit different than you do, so just kind of go with the flow. So let's close our eyes and go to that secret, sacred place within us, that invisible bond that we have with the beloved. And so I will use the word I, me, my, which is my higher self, speaking directly to your higher self. So when you hear I, me, my, just hear it for yourself as your own language. So right here, right now, I open my mind and my heart and my body and my soul to the divine flow in a new way, because I have been changed. I am not the same person now than I was an hour ago, not even a minute ago. Because Spirit in, as, and through me evolves by means of its creation. So I choose not to look back, not to step back even, but to step forward in my greatest yet becoming. I trust and know that I'm continuously guided by Spirit within to take that next step, and that my conditioning or my history does not have to be an impediment. I simply choose it not to be so, and I choose to stand in and live from and express from this true nature, this true self, this higher self. And I completely trust that I am ever divinely guided as long as I continue to listen, to be still, and know that I am God in expression. And so I know my prosperity, my abundance is available right here, right now. The only thing in the way is my limiting beliefs. And I can have compassion for that because I know judgment or fear just keeps moving it around me, demonstrating. I can simply have compassion for that part of myself that believes those limiting ideas and let them go. And remember the very truth of my being, trusting that healing is at hand, which just means being whole. And so I surrender to my inherent wholeness as I contribute my vision, my gifts and talents to this beautiful community as it evolves in its next yet best to be. Because nothing is constant but change. So I'm inspired by Spirit to facilitate change in the highest and best ways for me and for my community and for the world and for those around me. This in return blesses me over and over and over again, and it fills my heart, body, mind, and soul with all that is good, all that is great, all that is filled with ease and grace. And so the path is made clear. I let go of what's in my rear view mirror that no longer serves me, and I open my mind and my heart to the good at hand. All that's left now is to be deeply grateful for this word, for this inspiration, for this reminder, for the remembrance, and for what is before me that I get to step into. Grateful to be part of this community, grateful for its leadership at the moment, for all the practitioners, grateful for Rich and his beautiful music, grateful for this space, and especially grateful for the past and its history, because in gratitude, we open to the greater good, and so it is. So it is.
So